Shalom and good day, everyone. I'm coming back up here to share with you a mystery. Some of you may know about this mystery and some may not. Father is working. He is speaking in loud volumes unto us. As I had shared with y'all before, it's very important that we learn the meaning of his calendar months. Also, with the holy feast days and holy days that we partake in, such as the new moon days and the Sabbath days. Now you're going to see how all this come together. So this is where your foundation is tested. If you are solid in your foundation, the foundation I'm talking about y'all, is, excuse my tongue, y'all, is Torah, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and the Gospel. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, as well as the book of the prophets. But if you master that foundation, it's going to help you to get your questions answered. What the Father has been teaching me is that when you have a question, the answer can be found in his prophets' writings. And we know all our forefathers, we know that all our forefathers are prophets, starting with Adam, going down to Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc. So, and the highest prophet of all of them is Yahusha HaMashiach, who is the Son of God. He is the fountain of the living waters, known as the Ayin. He is your light. He is your eye on your body. Okay. He is the door of the sheep, the left. Okay. And he is the second Adam. Which bring me to this. I also like to give my respect unto our mother. Yes, what's done in heaven is done in earth. Where do you think our Father got the idea or the concept to make male and female? For we are made in their image, the male and the female. So we do have a mother. She's known as wisdom. For Yahusha HaMashiach, who is the Messiah, says this about her. He said, wisdom shall be justified by her children, meaning that she's not made in vain. She shall bring forth, or she shall birth the children of the light. Mysteries that I speak unto you. So one of the greatest mysteries that the Father has shared with me is dealing with the mystery of Sharok. In the Greek tongue, they would say Pentecost. That's what they would say. That's a mystery. And there was a historical event that took place in the works of Josephus that's going to tie into this mystery. Okay? So what you see before you is a picture of a battle that took place at the great river Zab. It is also known as Lycus. You probably saying, why is this so important? You'll see why. Okay? So here's a picture. It's a picture dealing with the Tigris River and the Euphrates River and the Great Zab River, known as the Lycus River, can be seen with this little blue line here. So you're going to see that this area is very important and you're going to see why. So this first video is the introduction, okay, because this is going to have to be done in many parts because we can't rush through this information because there's a lot of things that was being revealed unto me that I need to walk you through it so you can do your due diligence and go back and research these things for yourself. It's I wouldn't say new information has always been there, but I have not heard many Israelites talking about some of the festivals and why we keep it, what is to remind us. We hear most of the same things, but we don't hear the things that are written in the sacred books that I want to bring to your attention because you're gonna learn that it's going to pertain to you so you can understand the biblical prophecies that is written in the beginning of the book to the end of the book, as well as the other books that the heathens removed. Okay, so let us begin in this introduction video. Okay, so this is the introduction. Sorry, y'all, my computer. This is the introduction to the mystery of Sharok, Pentecost, the date of Antiochus the Seventh, battle at Lycus, Great Zab, and conquering Babylonia. Go ahead and fix that while we're on this page. You might say, well, what does historical event has to do with the date? And you're going to see why and how it's going to tie into the mystery of Sharok in the Greek tongue that they call Pentecost. You're going to see why. But we have to what? Build on the foundation first. So it's going to be a lot of copyright material that I will be sharing with you um, in this playlist series of the mystery of Sharok. And through this mystery, it led us to the date of Antiochus the Seventh, battle at Lycus, or the Great Zab River, and conquering Babylonia. So just as Shavuot is a twofold festival, I'm coming to you now in the playlist series as a twofold message. Okay, giving you a mystery and giving you a historical date. All right. You want to do a little bit of reading about Antiochus the Seventh. Okay, I have the wrong one, not this one. So this is not the one because, like I said, a lot of them first name was Antiochus, but you want Antiochus the Seventh. Oh yes, I got the right one. I'm sorry, y'all. This last name just threw me off. Like I said, they have nicknames, they have other names. Okay, many names back then. You had to try to fine tune who is who. Okay, so basically, this is one of the Greek rulers during the Hellenistic period. Okay, he was a ruler of the Seleucid Empire, and this is going to tie you back into the book of the Maccabees to understand the history of how he came to be. Okay, and notice here what they say: Hellenistic Seleucid Empire ruler. Okay, this is dealing with, remember what Daniel prophesies about Alexander the Great, how that once he died, his kingdom was be split into four, and one of those parts went to the family that's under the Seleucid Empire. Okay, now he reigned starting from in the Romans calendar known as the Gregorian calendar, started in July or August in 138 BC to 129 BC. Okay, so you definitely want to read this a little bit about him because you don't have to get deep, but it's it's going to lead you to get more understanding about the mystery of Shavuot. Okay, all right. Now we're going to go to this page. So, family, I know there has been a lot of discussion about Pentecost. When is it? When does it take place? And there are so many sources to look at, but it seemed like when we look at some of these sources, um, there might be some contradiction or some confusion. So I had to go before Yah and ask him, what does this mean, Father? For example, when I looked at the list of the kings of Babylon, I came across this information about Antiochus the Seventh, okay? That he came to rule Babylonia started in the heathen month known as July in 130 BC, which end in November 129 BC. Now you're probably saying, what does this have to do anything? Well, for those who have a copy of the work of Josephus, you will learn that there was an event that took place that was during the time of Shavuot. Okay. So when I'm looking at this date, it's having him to reign or to come into Babylon on July 130 BC. And according to the Gregorian calendar, okay, that's summer. Do y'all see now where I'm going with this? But I'm not done yet. It's more. It's more. Because it's something for those who keep it in the third month, and it's something for those who keep it in the fourth month. So you want to listen to this information. Okay, so you can see what got me stirred up to go before the Father and to ask him some things, but at the same time, a great mystery was revealed. Okay. The second thing I came across was dealing with the writings of Enoch. Okay. Now, you will have access to the things I'm discussing that when the next video that be coming out. So you don't have to worry about trying to write this down or write that down, but just check the video description box and you will have access to this Google document in the video that would come after the introduction video. Because right now this is the introduction to give you some idea what we're going to be talking about and where this is going to be leading to. Okay. So when I came across First Enoch chapter 70, chapter 82, which is a whole read that whole good chapter because it's going to give you the breakdown of the solar year of 364 days. But remember that it's a total of 3 books of Enoch's writings that you need to read to understand the calendar in this wholeness. Okay. So when you read First Enoch chapter 7, chapter 82, you will learn in verse 15 that the harvest of the wheat take place in the third month or in the season of spring. Do y'all see where this is going? But remember, in the days of Enoch, it's based on the Adamic calendar. So when you translate the third month into the Adamic calendar, it becomes the month Keslu unto the Israelites. Something keep that in mind. To help you to understand how that's possible, remember that those who are in the northern hemisphere versus those in the southern hemisphere, when we are keeping like Passover in the month of Aviv, they are keeping tabernacles during that same time because the climates are different. Now, like I said, I'm throwing this out because a lot of people don't understand the mindset of Yah. How is this possible? Okay, but let us keep going. Another thing that got my attention was that one of the sources that I came across says that the battle at the Lycus River, this is the Great River, I need to put that here, the Great Zab River, took place in summer. Okay, and this is from the Wikipedia Free Encyclopedia. For it says this, I'm just going to read. Let me see what's the best time to read. I'm going to read at line 2, the sentence 2, okay? Because those who have been studying history or have been reading the work of Josephus, we learned that Antiochus was trying to reclaim the territory that his empire had lost. This has been an ongoing battle back and forth, okay, between the Greeks and the Parthians. All right. So starting at the sentence 2, it says, under the predecessors of Antiochus the Seventh, large parts of the Seleucid Empire was lost to the Parthians. In a short time, they have conquered Mesopotamia and parts of Iran. 131 BC, Antiochus the Seventh set out with a large army to recapture these areas. In the summer of 131 BC, there was a first battle on Lycus, on the Parthian side of which Endates led the army and lost to the Seleucids. Nothing is known about his further fate. Okay, so that's dealing with that source at that particular time. I do want to explain to you, you may see a little variation dates depending what source you look at, depending what time they wrote that information, and depends what resources they use. But what I want to point out unto you from this source, notice that they said that this battle took place in summer. And you're going to see why I'm saying this, because if you read the work of Josephus, that was the time when Pentecost was coming in. So how can that be when you have the prophet Enoch's writing saying unto us that the wheat harvest took place in the third month, or in the season in spring? Okay, something to think about, right? A lot of questions going on. Okay, the next source I came across was saying the same thing. This came from the Calendar and Community book, A History of the Jewish Calendar, 2nd century BCE to 10th century CE, by Sach Stern. The date is 2001. And y'all, this book is not cheap. Okay? It is not. So the part I want to read unto you, because they said that Shavuot occurred in a but they had Shavuot as being a midsummer festival. And you can find that in, let me see where it's at. I do apologize. It's like one of those things where, okay, I see it now. It's down here. So the part I'm going to start reading, we're going to start at this first line here. Okay. It says Josephus' identification of the ancestral festival in Nicholas' passage as Pentecost would have been based either on some independent historical source or on the reasoned assumption that since Antiochus was in the middle of his campaign, a midsummer festival could only have been Pentecost. We're going to stop there, okay? We're going to come back to this. But this is another thing that caught my attention. Well, according to those who keep in the third month, Pentecost is supposed to be in spring. How can this happen? How can this take place? Why would they call Pentecost or Shavuot a midsummer feast unto Yah? Remember, festival and feast go, interchangeable when you learn about their language with the English language. How can this be when you're looking at historical facts? Because one thing about Yah, everything has to line up. Just like the heavens is connected to the earth, just like our agriculture, the crops we get or the harvest we get from the earth is lined up to his calendar months, such as we know that barley comes forth in the spring in the time of Aviv. We know the grapes come in the time of the summer. Do you see what I'm saying? So things have to line up. And we also know that when people are truthful and don't lie, history does line up with the Bible, with the living word of Yah. And when you start going through these books, Israelites and Gentiles, you would see that they do use the 1611. They do look at the Apocrypha, and they also look at the work of Josephus as well. So they do go into the Israelite sacred books to get information when they're looking at certain historical events. A lot of y'all might not know this because we've been distracted, not paying attention. But the Gentiles have been busy at this because they want to know some of the sacred things. Let us keep going. Then When I would say, well, maybe I wasn't keeping it right. So when I was just about thinking about it, or going back to the third month of keeping Shavuot, this what came up. Leviticus chapter 23. For those who read it, we note that that verse don't say on the morrow number the day 50. It don't say that. It say ye number 50 days. That what caught my attention. But what topped this is what the Messiah said. Because when you read the book of John, going, starting from chapter 1 all the way up to chapter 4, you will learn that he had just kept Passover. And he was talking to the woman at the well who was a Samaritan. And if you read that whole chapter, you will learn that that particular event, John chapter 4, verse 35, took place shortly after they had already kept the festival of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So it was still in the first month of Aviv. For the Messiah says this, that he said harvest would be in 4 months. Do y'all see what I'm saying now? Now this is in the month of Aviv. So Aviv is the first month. Then you get Ziph as your second month. Then you get Savannah as your third month. And then your fourth month, I don't say that deity name. I just say four, or I call that month the left, the door of the sheep, number 4. So how can this be if our Messiah, who is the son of Yah, the son of God, say that harvest will be in 4 months? Shouldn't he say in 3 months? Something to ask yourself. Then when you get to the work of Josephus, I'm going to read this passage unto you. Okay, so remember in the second video that will come out, you will have access to this document. I just got to add a couple more things, but I wanted to get this intro out so you can go and prepare yourself. So as I put these videos out as a playlist, you can have your material on hand and follow along. But you don't have to write this information down. You're going to have access to this Google document. I'm going to make sure you do. So when we get to the work of Josephus, this is what is so confusing unto me. Okay? And you'll see why. So I'm going to start reading. Let me see where I want to start reading at, y'all. I'm going to have to start at the top and read all the way down. Okay? But Hyrcanus opened the scepter of David, who assailed all other kings in riches, and took out of it 3,000 talents. He was also the first of the Jews that, relying on this wealth, maintained foreign troops. So Hyrcanus was the first of the Israelites to do this. There was also a league of friendship and mutual assistance made between them, upon which Hyrcanus admitted him into the city and furnished him with whatsoever his army wanted in great plenty, and with great generosity, and marched along with him when he made an expedition against the Parthians. So when you read that whole chapter, you're going to learn he's talking about Antiochus the Seventh, Cides, but the Israelites call him Pyrrhus, okay? And you can find that name right here. This is what the Israelites would call him. Because with him, he did respect them of keeping the covenant. He didn't come in between that. He respect them for that. Okay? That's how he got that title among us. Let us go back. Trying to see where I need to pick up at. So Hyrcanus marched along with Cides against the Parthians. Okay? This is where we get into the Iranian history now. Of which Nicholas of Damascus is a witness for us, who in his history writes thus. So this is so Josephus is quoting from Nicholas. Hear what he says about this historical event that took place between Hyrcanus, who was the high priest of Israel, who followed the lineage of the Maccabees, okay, in the days of Cyrus when he was reigning. So, quote, when Antiochus had erected a trophy at the river Lycus upon his conquest of Endates, the general of the Parthians, he stayed there 2 days. It was at the desire of Hyrcanus, that's a mistype right there, the Israelite or the Jew, because it was such a festival derived to them from their forefathers, whereon the law of the Jews did not allow them to travel. End quote. This is what Josephus is quoting from Nicholas. This is very important to pay attention to that, because notice what take place here. And you can see why I'm saying this. And truly he did not speak falsely in saying so, for that festival which we call Pentecost did then fall out to be the next day to the Sabbath. Nor is it lawful for us to journey either on the Sabbath day or on a festival day. So we all know, for those who have a strong foundation in Torah and the gospel, we don't travel on the Father holy days. Okay? All right? That's one of the commandments and instructions. So we don't do it on his Sabbath day, which is the 7th-day rest, and nor do we do it on his holy feast day. And in this particular passage, it was dealing with Pentecost. Now, I had looked at different translation of Josephus. Now, the way that this guy worded is a little bit confusing, but the other translation would say that Pentecost followed after the Sabbath day. Now, for those who have been reading the books that the Gentiles have been translating, we are aware of translator errors. Okay? Now, the only way to determine if this one who translated Josephus' writings did it in error, I'm talking about those who make a copy of a copy of a copy. Because when you read the work of Josephus in its entireness, you will learn that those who copied Josephus' writings when they was reproducing his book, there was things that was mistranslated, or there was errors that was made. We also learned that even the heathens removed some things from Josephus' writings. So those who don't like Josephus' writings, I'm telling you that it's another book you don't want to put away with. The way that book is written, it's written in the same manner the way King James 6:11 is written. You can still find truth. And it is the evidence and the proof to use against the heathens. It's just like going to court. How can you prove to the judge or what you are accusing the defendant on if you have no evidence? Do you see now? But in order to determine if this was translated correctly by whoever made a copy of Josephus' writings, because you're going to learn that Josephus wrote his writings in Hebrew first. But to make sure that our history was not lied upon or was not retold incorrectly, he had his writings translated into the Greek tongue. Because back then, speaking Greek was a big thing, not unto the Israelites, but unto the other Gentile nations. This is why when you look in your strong concordance, the word barbarian means reason why they frown on somebody that's a barbarian or call them a barbarian because they didn't speak Greek. Remember your Daniel prophecies. In the fourth beast kingdom, the Greek empire became a part of the fourth beast empire, the brass nails. This is why you see a lot of similarities between the Greek and the Roman Empire that's in today. I'm talking about the Roman Empire. You see a lot of similarities still being used. Like, for example, in the World Councils of Churches, you see a Greek word being used known as okaneme, and it means the Roman Empire. So that's what I'm talking about. You see Roman buildings, you see Greek doctrines, culture still being encouraged or used this day. So again, when you know your prophecies, you understand why you're seeing these things today. So looking at the translator errors, for example, in the work of Josephus, and my sister shared this with me before she passed. She shared this with me several years ago, that they remove the appearance and the color of the Messiah from Josephus' writings. Because she told me she had read it herself, she has seen it with her own eyes. Well, do you not know that Yah has confirmed what she said is true? When you go to this video titled Challenging Christians, Understanding of Jews Today, 1 or 2, this video right here on YouTube, have to give it a while for it to come up. While that's taking place, let's go back. You will learn that there is a book written by a European known as Robert Eisler, okay, who quoted from Josephus' writings, giving you the true appearance and the true color of the Messiah. And basically, what he has confirmed that the Messiah is a melanated man. He's melanated. So this false image that the Roman Empire has been pushing for so long is a lie. This is how I'm telling y'all. Do not throw these books away. That is your proof and your evidence to use against the heathens. And what I'm going to do, because this book now is no longer being printed. Now I do have a copy myself. Sometimes you can find a PDF link to get this copy of this book, but I have read it myself and it lines up to what this woman says in this video. Let me see, can I get it up to come a little bit more quicker? Sometimes. There we go. So since you want to take a while to load up, what I'm going to do for you in the video description box of this introduction, I'm going to put this link right here, these links right here, so you can see what I'm saying. So now that we know this, the same is also in the King James 611 Bible. This is why I don't limit myself. I read the other sacred books, but I also know that the Father have it so written that the 1611 is your foundation to precept it with the other books, and you will see how they all align to one another. If they don't align to one another, do you know that book don't come from the Father? Okay. So when you get to 1 Kings chapter 6 verse 1, those who are well studied, it is written that the children of Israel was 480 years out of Egypt in the 4th year reign of King Solomon. We know that's not correct, because according to the book of the Judges and according to Paul's writings in the book of Acts, we know that the year of the judges was 450 years. We also know that the children of Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. Okay? Do y'all see where I'm going with this? And there's other biblical events, that those who have knowledge of how much time from the time they came out of Egypt. But we know 480 years don't add up to that. Because if you take 450 from 480, you got 30 years. And we already know that the children of Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. And we know the first year when they came out of Egypt, they stayed there in the wilderness of Sinai until the second year out of Egypt. So it's like 41, something like that. Do you see what I'm saying? So we already know that the heathens have been in our books, changing things, removing things. But how these books are written through the precepts and through the line upon line, through the crews that the Father have left for us, can still reveal his truth. This is why you should not put these books away. Again, if you go into court, where's your evidence and your proof? Now, don't worry, Father gonna take care of them on the day of judgment for what they did. So, in the next videos to come, you're going to need some historical books, and I found a very good historical book. I really like this book, y'all. It has a ton of resources and information. So this is a book we will be using. Don't worry, you're going to have access to the pages that I will show you from this book, because this book is copyrighted. Okay. Well, one thing I like about this book, and this is what the Father revealed to me as I was researching this thing out, to get the date or when Antiochus was at the river Lycus, known as the Great Zab River, you cannot use the books that base upon the Shavuot date. Here's why. This is those who are well astute. What did the prophet say that he would do unto the Israelites? He would cease and remove his days from us, right? So we would no longer have knowledge of what is his days. We would be asleep. Therefore, the Gentiles would not have knowledge of the correct days either. So this is what I like about this book, that when it comes to Antiochus the Seventh conquering Babylonia, the date of it is not based on Shavuot or Pentecost. Now, it does use Josephus' writings as reference for certain historical points, okay? But it doesn't base the dates on that information. And those who get a copy of this book, you'll see why. Okay? So this is by M. Rahim Saigan. It is on Amazon. I don't know if let me see. Okay. So it's gonna take a while with this internet. So I ain't worried about it. But it is on Amazon. Also, you can find it through Cambridge. I went through Cambridge and ordered mine because I wanted a certain IBSN number when I was looking at the resources and the references. Okay, so we will be looking at this book. The next thing you would need to have access to your King James 1611 Bible, because we will be looking at the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament. Also, you just need to be, I ain't gonna say you have to be an expert, but just be a little bit familiar of the calendars that was kept by the Greek, known as the Seleucid era. Also, you should, for those who are well astute, you should be very knowledgeable of the Hebrew calendar, and then have some knowledge of the Babylonian calendars. And Father's telling me to remind you, remember, all the sons of Noah was taught the ways of the Most High. So you will see some similarities, but you will see how they went left. Remember, the Gentile nation was given over to the principalities, over to the angels, but Israel Israel was given over to the Father. Our Father in heaven, YAHUAH, is our inheritance. And whomever partake in the same covenant we keep, they come under him too. Okay? Next thing you're going to need is the Work of Josephus. I highly recommend that you read, I think you call it's the preface, or the part that deals about his life and how he came about to write in that book. And you will see that the Father had a hand on this. If Josephus didn't write that book, y'all, I'm telling y'all, we would be walking blind on a lot of stuff that confirms what's written in the Bible, as well as the sacred books such as Enoch's, Jubilees, Jasper, and many other books that we are coming across today. Most important, speaking of a second book, you will need Jubilees, because Jubilees is going to tie into some mysteries of the Shavuot. So you're definitely going to need access to that book. I know sacredtext.com will have it. And also in the video playlist that will be coming out, like the videos that will be coming out, I will put sacred link of Jubilees for you, so you can have access to that. Okay. And last and most importantly, you will need a calendar converter. That when I'm talking about calendar converted, how to convert your dates from the Hebrew to the Babylonian to this Seleucid and to um the Romans. So that's what you're going to need. Don't worry, you know me, I have resources in the videos to come out, but just to give you an idea of what's coming up. So here's the objective. The objective is we need to determine now, in present day time now, is Shavuot, known as Pentecost, kept in the third month or in the fourth month? What is it? And if it's kept in the fourth month, why? What caused the change? What is Father saying unto us? Okay? So as you see already, part of the mystery is going to tie into two numbers, 49 and 50. But it's not what you think. Some of y'all thinking about, I'm talking about the count. It's something else. So I hope y'all enjoyed the videos that will come out behind this. And remember, when you have a question and you don't know, after you have sought out his prophets from the days of old, go before our Father in heaven, Yahuwah, in the name of his son, Yahusha Mashiach, and he will give you the answer. But you have to remember to be patient because he gives these things in his time and also in his season. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and his disciples, known as apostles, continued them both. If you have no one to baptize you, Father got you covered. For the water, the heavens, and the earth are a witness unto him, and they can report back unto him of those who had entered into the renewed marriage, into the renewed covenant. And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism. He made it easy unto us. For Father said he will give it unto us as long as what? We ask him in the name of his son, and it's given accordingly to your heart, your faith, and your works. Love you all, and shalom.